Welcome to Armchair Expert. I'm Dan Peppard. I'm joined by Lily Nadmans.
Hello.
Hello. We have the first influencer on planet Earth.
Oh my God. Original influencer.
Original influencer. Paris Hilton. Yeah. We've been talking about Paris Hilton for a couple years now, ever since we saw that documentary about her. We absolutely loved it.
Yes.
And we felt a tremendous amount of compassion for her story.
Yeah. Much more complicated than we originally knew.
Yes. Heartbreaking kind of trauma. Mm-hmm. She, of course, is also a very successful entrepreneur. She has built a global empire as a DJ, entrepreneur, recording artist, philanthropist, actress, model, and author. And she has a new book out, a memoir, called Paris, the Memoir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keeping it simple. I think that if you are someone who can reasonably declare a goal of earning $1 billion.
Yeah.
You are successful.
Yeah. I have no dreams of hitting $1 billion. There's no way.
It's not going to it's not even remotely in reach.
I haven't invented anything.
No.
Yeah.
But that's a reasonable goal for her.
No, she's going to get there.
Exciting.
We talk about it. I urge her to try to not get there, but I think it fell on deaf ears.
No, she's loosening her grip.
Can we still say that? Oh, I can always say that because I was born deaf.
Oh my God.
Fell on deaf ears. Do you think that one's on its way out?
Yes, and I also
But I was born deaf, so I am going to feel included to be able to say that.
Oh.
There's got to be some silver lining.
I do wonder that, though. Like, if you're born with an elbow out, okay.
This is going to be quite an analogy. I can feel it.
Listen. Okay. If you're born with 9 toes, okay? And
one
then
shy.
They deliver you, and it's a baby with 9 toes. And then here's that other toe. They see it in the woman's vagina.
In the womb.
They get that toe out, but it's been like 3 weeks, okay? So then they attach the toe.
Yeah.
Are we to say that person is someone who
was born with 9 toes? Yes.
And then they can ride on that even though their toes are totally fine for the rest of their life?
Yes. Absolutely. Okay. Well, listen, this is too triggering of an example, but the analogy would be because someone got molested 40 years ago and they never got molested again. They don't get to say there's someone who got molested. If you're born deaf and you're deaf for 2 years and it alters your life and you get a nickname that's carried with
you got a nickname?
Grunt. You know my nickname is Grunt.
That's cute.
I mean, it's not a terrible one, but yes, I'm gonna say fell on deaf ears, worry free.
Okay.
Sorry, Paris Hilton. Sorry.
Do you think anyone has ever had a toe left in
the womb? I do not.
Okay.
I just don't think that ever happened. But go to sentientanimals.com and see if they have a record of
.org.
I'm so sorry. Everybody, please enjoy this really wonderful interview. I really, really enjoyed it. It was quite pleasant.
Too.
Yeah, she's wonderful. Please check out Paris, the Memoir, and enjoy now Paris Hilton.
He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert. He's an armchair expert.
Do you remember how good this song was? I bet you forgot.
Blasted it.
We had a phase with it. I hadn't listened to it in forever, and then my daughter and I listened to it yesterday.
Yes.
It's a good one.
But it really builds. Let's just feel it for 1 second.
Let's get in the zone.
Let's just feel it.
Yes.
You know it.
So pull me closer. Why don't you pull me close? Why don't you come on over? I just let you go. Oh, baby.
Oh.
Why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing my
A sing-along. How
yes.
fun. What a way to kick it off.
Good.
Do you need
How
to
did I forget? I knew and then I forgot.
I know. It's
They don't
a
make
good
music
one.
like that anymore.
No, they just don't. Is that ever in your set? Did I just inspire you to put it in one of your sets?
I'm going to now.
You're going to put it in.
Yes.
Do you need coffee or anything?
Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wobby Wob brew you some while we...
He has a special touch.
He really does. He's a gentleman's touch when it comes to coffee brewing. You smell tremendous. I'm enjoying the shit out of it all the way from over here. You get a little...
Yeah, it's nice. Very nice.
My new fragrance, Love Rush.
Oh.
It's yours.
Number 29.
Number 29.
You didn't even pay us to say that. And we just came out.
Yeah, it came out organically.
Yeah.
It was a fragrance that I wore for my wedding, and everyone was just like, oh my God, what are you wearing? So I was like, I need to just put this as my next fragrance.
Yes.
Do you go to the weird perfumery and then start smelling all these different samples and then like find a bingo?
I used to, but I've been doing it for so many years now, and I'm like, you guys just come to me.
Yeah.
Sold you a lot of fragrances. I'm not driving all the way over there.
Yeah, and how do you clear your sinuses in between sniffs?
You have to smell this other little...
Like a little palate
cleanser.
cleanser?
Yeah, this palate cleanser. I forgot what it's called, but you just smell that, and then you just go back and forth.
Yeah, I've heard you can do that with coffee beans. But
Yes,
I
it's coffee beans and
is
something
it-
else. There's like another thing, but coffee beans is like if they don't have that thing that I can't remember the name
never
of.
understood that though, because coffee's such a strong smell.
Yes, but it doesn't linger too much. Right? You get a big, you hit it, wham!
Hit and
then
quit it?
2 seconds later, you quit it. Yeah, there's no residual.
Thank you.
All we've got in the form of creamer is powdered coffee mate. Would you like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, good for you.
We gotta get some oat milk in here.
Yeah, would that be the... Oh, wait, what's at the bottom, Wabi?
That's old. That's
Old milk.
old.
My
You don't
Some
want.
old milk. You want
We can't risk it.
some good culture, cottage cheese milk.
I've had it before.
Good culture.
Well, no, that kind of milk.
Ooh,
At
chunky milk.
At these like crazy schools that I went to, the wilderness camp ones, they would just like give us rotten milk and didn't give a shit.
Ew.
And forced you to eat it.
I don't know if it ever made it to you how much we loved and talked about your documentary.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I can admit, I went into it, skeptical is not the right word, but I know my trauma, and then it's alluding to trauma. I hate that I was thinking that. I'm like, what could have really happened to her? And then when it hits, you're like, oh my fucking God, if dudes ran into my bedroom when I was a kid and kidnapped me and fucking took me 4 states away, I was blown away that had happened to you and so many people. And then... And this has happened with a few of the documentaries we've watched recently. The other one's the Britney one.
Mm-hmm.
It's so weird to have lived through that moment, have not recognized how insane it was while I was inside of it, and now look at it and go like, my Lord, the way we were treating these young women is insane.
Yeah, it was fucked.
Yeah. Not just the paparazzi. That was one thing. But now when you look at it, it's quite clear like, oh, that's an assault.
Mm-hmm.
Dudes are fist fighting like inches away from these women. Then go to the nighttime talk shows and then just hear misogynistic thing after misogynistic thing. It's so surreal to have watched it all. And at the time, I can admit, I wasn't thinking like, oh, this is horrendous.
Yeah, because we're all just swimming in it. It's hard to see outside of it. Could you see outside of it? Were you like, this is ridiculous?
I think I had just already been through hell and back as a teenager, just experiencing what I went through at these so-called therapeutic boarding schools. And I was just so abused in every single way at these places that it almost prepared me for Hollywood in a way. But it was also painful because I'm a human being as well.
Yeah.
And having to laugh it off and be like, haha. And I would play into the joke. I made a big brand out of pretending to be a dumb blonde. I'm not, but I'm just very good at pretending to be one. No one knew what I had went through as a child. So they didn't realize just how fucked up it was what they were doing to me. But going through what I went through, it literally prepared me for anything in life. And I think that's why it's been hard for a lot of girls in Hollywood, because a lot of people don't make it through it. This town will fuck you up.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. No, the fact that you're here in the condition you're in, I would kind of compare it to Monica Lewinsky. When we interviewed her and you think about the entire world was calling her a slut and talking about her weight and that she was 23 or something and lived through that and it didn't ruin her is almost inconceivable.
But you would have had no idea. I met her in London a couple of years ago and she started telling me her story. And just from following in the media, she was just bashed when she was just a young girl being taken advantage of.
Exactly.
But the media would always just make the woman look like you're the villain.
Yep.
When the guys, oh, he's cool. It's been so many years like that. I'm so happy it's finally changing.
Yeah. Are you like me at all? Given that I'm from a violent childhood, I also love arousal. If I were you and I had gone through what you went through, that whole chaos, I actually feel pretty calm in chaos and pretty level-headed, and I actually crave it to some degree. Do you think it had hardwired you to be kind of functional in that insanity?
With having ADHD as well as so much trauma, yes, it was the hard times, but it was also fucking fun.
Yeah.
I had the best time. Like
Yeah.
I was just going out every night. The level of attention and fame was very overwhelming, but it was also exciting. Wow, I'm on top of the world. I'm traveling around with Nicole Richie. We're doing our show. We're having so much fun. It was
You're
exciting.
living in peak adrenaline and dopamine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've always been a person who tries to focus on the good. Yeah, there's haters and there's people who are mean, but then there's so many people who just love it and they get me.
Yeah.
And those are my people. And that's how I try to think about it now. Like I only do this for the people that I love. And then the rest of them, whatever. Life is too short.
Yeah, you kind of got to tell yourself, like, well, not one of these people who's angry at me actually knows me. You really can only go, is anyone in my life mad at me? That's really where I got to stop my concern, because I can't answer to someone who doesn't know me that's mad at me.
And I can understand the character I was playing. It's like this annoying, dumb, kind of spoiled brat persona. Like, what's Walmart? Oh, I can't do this. Like, I knew exactly what I was doing.
Sure.
I was kind of just playing into the character. And almost in the 2000s, that was encouraged. You see Pam Anderson, all these other girls, they're brilliant women, but we would play into this cartoon character.
Yes.
Well, in Pam's case, we just interviewed her.
I love her.
Oh,
She's so fucking awesome.
Amazing.
So fucking dope.
You're not left with much other options. So for her, she was like, post sex tape release, post all this attention, I just had to go, all right, well, I'm going to embrace this. I have to. If I want to work and thrive, there's no career in me trying to defend myself. I have to just make lemonade out of this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with ADHD, because in the introduction of your book, it's the very first sentence, right? It's telling us that you have ADHD and that this experience will be intermittently scattered, which I love as a precursor to reading. But tell people about ADHD, this Dr.
Hollowell.
Am I imagining this person maybe was the first that really explained it to you, where you're like, oh, I get it now?
I knew what it was, but some people would just be like, oh, ADD, that's just an excuse for being lazy.
Mm-hmm.
And people would just always say that, like, oh, you're a girl, you don't have it. And I didn't know for many years. My whole childhood, teenage years, no one was really talking about it. So I wasn't medicated. I had no idea. I just had all this energy. I couldn't focus. I couldn't remember anything. It was just a nightmare, and everyone would call me stupid for it. It wasn't until recently when I watched this documentary, The Disruptors, which is all about ADHD, and Dr. Hollowell's in it. And after that, I was like, I need to talk to this guy. And he just described that having ADHD is like having a Ferrari engine for a brain with the brakes of a bicycle. So you just keep going. You're never stopping, because it could be a superpower if you harness it in the correct way. Otherwise, you're up for disaster if you don't handle it the right way. So you need to know it and check yourself.
You said that he delineates the difference between an ADHD brain and a neurotypical brain, right? That your frontal lobe isn't as powerful as your midbrain, which is like impulse galore.
Yeah. Which is a good thing and a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like my career has really been defined because of that, because I've been someone who takes risks, and I've been someone who just does things. Like, even with The Simple Life, no one was doing reality TV. It was such a new frontier. My parents, everyone was like, do not do this. It's going to ruin your life, because they didn't know.
Yeah, you invented the selfie. That's when we were watching the doc, I was like, she invented that.
Yeah, there was an inventor, and it's her.
It's crazy
I don't know if that's
to
a good
think.
thing or a bad thing.
No, but I mean, you did start so many things that I don't think you necessarily get credit for, but in the zeitgeist and in the culture, which is amazing.
Thank you.
Well, when I look at your book and we go through all the many things, the reoccurring emotion seems to be, and one I can relate deeply with, is shame. Just being the most prevailing feeling you have. And there's several incidents that lead us there. But I wonder if, when you're used to carrying so much shame, for me, there's a switch that's like, yeah, man, so why not throw this in the mix? Like, I don't really give a fuck. Now you're upset about that. I already think I'm a piece of shit. So it's like, you think I'm vain because I take this picture? I can live with that. I already hate myself, or I'm ashamed of myself.
Shame is such a powerful emotion, and it could paralyze you and like take over your life in a way. And I had so much shame on me for so many years for things that I didn't even do, things that people did bad to me, but for some reason I would blame myself. And then going through what I went through, being abused at all these schools, that just, again, made even more shame. And then now as an adult, I realized this is not my shame to hold. The people who hurt me are the ones who should be ashamed of themselves.
Yeah.
And that's been so empowering. And that's a huge message in my book that I want so many other young boys and girls to know who've been through similar situations, that it's not their fault and they shouldn't hate themselves for what other people did to them.
Yeah. Well, your book and our podcast have a very similar agenda, which is life's fucking messy. Don't regret your shit. They're the things that give you wisdom.
I love that.
Now, quickly, I always ask people who've written memoirs this. Is it now scary to have to go out and talk? Like, it's one thing to write it, right? You're by yourself or whatever your process was, and you have a lot of control over how it comes out, and you can be brave and exposing and vulnerable. And that's one experience. But then it comes out and then you got to like go here and go to the Today Show and go all these different places and now take this very private experience of writing a book and be very public. Is it harder?
Oh, yeah. Writing it was like a diary. And that was in the comfort of my home and just being able to be with myself and just remember things that I had never told anyone, not even my family, my best friends. I haven't even said a lot of this stuff out loud because I didn't even want to believe it was real. So then to be going and doing these interviews, especially live TV, Nightline was my first one I did before I went on the press tour to New York and London and the LA one. So I literally was having like a panic attack. Like I could not breathe.
Yes.
And then I did some of the questions and I was just sitting there and then I was like, I'm going to get some water. And I just went out and I was like, I cannot do this. And I called my publicist. I'm like, please cancel like this one. I'm like, I only want to do the fun ones where they ask nice questions. Like, I can't go into this. Like, I don't want to talk about this.
Yes.
And she's like, she loves you. She read your book. She's seen your documentary. She's not going to hurt you. She feels for you and like wants to get the message out. Anyone who would come and ask you mean questions, if they read your book, they're a horrible person.
Right.
Like that's just not going to happen after what you've went through and you've been so vulnerable.
Yeah.
And then I went in there and I had that kind of mind frame and that really helped. And then the rest of the press tour, I just killed it.
Oh, wonderful.
Because I just felt, you know what, Paris, you've been through hell and back. You're a warrior. You're a badass. Like,
Yeah. You're a
you
bad
should be
motherfucker.
proud of your story.
And your book's on the bestsellers list. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have the thing Dax has, because you kind of just brought it up, where your inclination is that people are out to get you because of what happened?
My whole career, I've been like that.
Yeah.
Just always scared, like always on the edge of the seat. What the hell are they going to ask me next? They're out to get me. This person hates me. So I felt like that for so long. And it wasn't until recently that I'm actually feeling like, wow, people aren't out to get me and they are rooting for me and people respect me. And that's such a new feeling and it feels so good.
Well, how about also, some people are out to get you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are out to love you.
Yeah.
Right? That's to me
both.
was like not denying that there's a ton of wolves in the world. There's still lots of dudes who want my wallet when I leave my house. But predominantly, and I didn't believe it, the majority of people are actually quite lovely. That was the harder thing to maybe embrace is like, oh no, so many fucking nice people, so many non-predators moving throughout the world, but hard to believe. Okay, so with knowing that it is hard to talk about, and I totally understand, you need some experience doing it. My thing was saying I was molested, right? That to me felt like I can't do that. It feels self-indulgent. It feels like I'm asking for your sympathy. I'm not. It's just such an important element of my story.
I'm happy you told me because it makes people feel open to be able to tell their story because it's something that's hard to talk about.
Right. But for me, who's like you, so all I hear is the haters' voices. So if I'm going to say that, all I can hear is dudes going like, how much attention does this dude need? Oh, now poor him. Walk beyond that, do it. And then you have to experience, oh no, the reception is love and kindness. You got to experiment and find that out. You can't just assume that. And I hope that's kind of what you've been feeling since the doc and probably now this.
The doc was the first time that I really... Let me turn off this beeping thing. Hold on 1 second.
Oh, I didn't even hear any
Me either.
beeping.
I hear everything. It's the ADD silent mode on.
Ooh, I love your shoes.
Thank you.
Are they also yours? Are we just
They're
picking up
Paris
everything?
Hilton.
Yeah.
No, they're Sergio Rossi.
They're very cute.
Thanks. I actually just wore different shoes on Jimmy's show the other night in New York.
I've been wondering if we could maybe make that
two
a
different
thing.
shoes.
Two totally different shoes.
Yeah.
When did you realize it? Mid-interview or
Like
afterwards?
when they went to commercial, they're like, "Do you realize you have two different shoes
Oh
on?" I
God.
was like, what?
Were they dramatically different, like different colors?
Yeah, like one was all covered in crystals and the other one was like silver. And I was like,
Oh, wow. But it could have been a move. It could have been on purpose.
people thought that.
Yep.
It might start a whole
Starting
thing.
Yeah,
a
I could
trend.
start a whole. You started a selfie. You could definitely start 2 shoes.
I'm gonna.
Okay, we can go back to your question.
No,
Sorry, my ADHD
no.
caught
No,
in.
we go all over the
Yeah,
place.
yeah. I don't think I have ADHD, but I certainly move through the world as if I do. I'm just an arousal junkie and an adrenaline junkie. So I think we should kind of start chronologically. You're born and brought home to New York. And then, I don't know, what age did you guys move to LA?
I was born in New York, moved to LA when I was 3, then moved to Palm Springs for a year.
With grandma.
With grandma.
Not a great sign right there already, right? You don't
Yeah.
generally get sent to grandma's for a year because everyone's super stoked with your behavior.
Yeah. I wasn't that bad of a kid. My parents were just so extremely strict. No makeup, no going to school dance, no dating, no any. I'm like, Mom, can I go to the movie with my boyfriend? We've been dating a year. She's like, no, he cannot go. I'm like, with his mom, we're going to just go to the Century City Mall. She was just so protective, I think, because I was her first baby and she had me when she was 19. So she was just a kid herself.
Did you inherit some of
And-
her fears too? Things from her past that she was trying to protect you from, I guess?
Probably. I think that generation just likes to hold things in. They don't really like to get emotional.
Yeah, you said they're like masters of sweeping things under the rug.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said, my mom's not going to like this book and I feel sorry, but also she might not read it.
Yeah.
She actually did read it.
Oh, she did?
Yes. I was like in shock. I'm like, you read a 300 something page. She's like, yes.
And what was her reaction?
Yeah.
She was emotional. She was crying. My sister was crying. They were both like, I can't believe you couldn't tell us any of this. We had no idea. Just sad because things like that happen that are bad, like you would expect that you would tell someone. But I was just so ashamed that I didn't want anyone to know. Talking about to why I got sent to my grandma's, I snuck out a couple times. Like I didn't do anything bad. I would go to like Nicole Richie's house in Bel Air down the street. We would like sneak out to like the Century City Mall. Like it was not a big deal.
You love that place.
I love that place. Then,
What was the vibe in Palm Springs? Were you just bored out of your mind? You would come home. I know this. You would come home on the weekends.
not every weekend because my parents lived in New York.
Okay.
So they moved to New York and I was in Palm Springs because they were nervous, I think, to bring me to New York because I was sneaking out. And then the teacher.
Would we say that's the first very traumatic thing? Or not really already if you're getting shipped off places? I would say you're already.
No, this
experiencing
shipped
some-
off was after.
Oh, it was.
That was
So you were
16 to 18.
Okay.
This was
no, I meant
14.
at grandma's.
Grandma's wasn't being shipped off. It was just like living in the desert.
Okay.
Okay, I guess it was.
Well, look, now you have a baby, right?
Yeah.
I have two babies. My
the
kids are
best.
never going to grandma's for a year. It's never happening.
Yeah.
I'm not judging your parents. I know
No.
it's very complicated. Everything's different. I don't know their story. But you and I both know our kids are never going to grandma's for a year, right?
No, I would miss them too much.
No,
Yeah.
that's not ideal before the teacher, I'd say.
And also, I'm sure the shame machine is already primed. Maybe it's subconscious. I'm sure it's subconscious. But if I do something bad, I could get shipped away. I could get removed. I could get taken out of this. So, of course, you're feeling like I can't tell people about this stuff because that means I'll have to be removed.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about it till now, but I'm sure that was always in the back of my mind.
What age was the teacher incident?
8th grade.
This is so heartbreaking. I hate this so much.
It's pretty creepy.
Yeah. But you had a teacher that was grooming you, showing tons of interest in you and started to talk to you on the
Yeah.
phone.
Just in school would always be staring at me and then be like, oh, Paris, I need you to stay after class. And just be like, you are so beautiful. Other girls are not like you. You're just so mature and they're all jealous of you. And all the girls at school were like, he is so hot. He was like the young teacher in his early 20s. Everyone was into him, but we're like 14. When you're 14, you think you're such an adult.
Can I suggest something that was, for me, kind of a breakthrough? You carry shame and people go, oh, it's not your fault. It's that person's fault. But I didn't believe that because I know I wanted something from this person that I also knew in my gut I shouldn't be doing. So I betrayed my gut. That's where my shame comes from, really, is that, yeah, there were many times I was like, I don't really want to be here, but I want this thing. It's only later you can go, yeah, I can own that. And then also go like, yeah, 9-year-olds want things. But I almost had to first acknowledge that's where my real shame comes from is I didn't listen to my body a bunch of times. Or maybe in your case, It's wonderful to be told you're mature when you're 14. It's wonderful to be told you're beautiful. To feel guilty that was nice to hear
Yeah.
is sad and not fair.
Yeah, because at that age you're just so innocent. Like you don't even know. When I look into my little baby's eyes and I'm like, you're so innocent. Like you've never seen just how the world is. Like I don't want you to see any of this.
Yeah.
I just want to protect them so much.
I think there'll be a whole period of compassion for yourself you'll have when they start hitting those ages when things happen to you.
Yeah.
Because again, my daughter's at the age now that all this stuff's, and I'm like, this is too young. That really puts it in perspective. So this thing with the teacher escalates, calls you on the phone and stuff at home.
Yeah, I had my private line, which I was all excited about, my answering machine.
I had a private line too. It was the best thing
It was
ever.
like the coolest thing when you
It was
got your
the
private
coolest.
line.
Yeah. You felt like you were running a
Private
business.
number. Yeah, totally.
Like I'm open for business now.
Sometimes at the house line, like the person could come on and like listen.
I know.
And put on mute and like hear your whole conversation. So I was
Scary.
like, I got the private line. I was like, yes.
Good to go.
So he like got my number, starts calling me all the time. What are you talking about with the 14-year-old? I don't even know what we're talking about. And then one night my parents were out to dinner. So he's like, oh, come outside. Like, I'm going to come over. I was like, okay. And then I just went in his car, forgot what he was saying to me. And then he started to kiss me. And then I saw like these bright lights and it was my parents. And they were like pulling out of the driveway and started chasing us through Bel Air, through Westwood. I was so terrified. We're in the car. I'm like looking at him. He's like, shit, my life is over. Like, this is all your fault.
Oh.
And I'm just like, what?
Oh.
And then he drops me off. I run as fast as possible into my bed. And then 2 minutes later, my parents come up and they're like, where were you? Who was that? And like, they had no idea
They
who
just
it
thought you were
was.
sneaking out again.
Yeah.
Oh.
And they flipped out. And I was like, I was in here the whole time. Like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You just went straight denial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay. And they just didn't ever bring it up again. Until I brought it up like a few weeks ago and I asked my mom, I'm like, do you remember that night in Bel Air? She's like, when? I was like, when I snuck out and I was in that car, the brown Suburban. She's like, yes. And I
Mr.
told her and she
So-and-so.
was like, what? She's freaking out.
Right?
Yeah. It's so upsetting.
But thank God they pulled up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like I was
For
safe.
you, did you have a moment where it's fun fantasy, it's fun fantasy, it's fun fantasy? Oh, fuck. This is overwhelming. This is much bigger than I want to be a part of.
The kissing part, the flirting was like, okay.
Yeah,
and
tension
the tension.
and-
But then that, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're
Became
like
real.
an adult, and I only kissed like one person in my life at this point.
And he's in love with you. He's telling you he's in love
Yes.
with you. Yes.
So it's
So
just-
wild.
Creepy.
And what's so sad about that, and it sounds like your reaction was the same as like Pamela had a fucking horrendous situation when she was younger. And then her reaction was, everyone in the world knows this about me. I just feel like everyone knows this about me. And it just completely filled her with shame. So that's kind of the first big chunk of shame you start carrying around.
Oh, yeah. At school, I don't know if anyone did know because I didn't tell anyone, but I just felt like they knew.
Right. You
And then
just
I would feel weird when he was at school. He was terrified to speak to me because he had no idea if my parents knew who it was.
And he's just
Right.
waiting
For
to get a
all
call.
in his mind, they think that they've called a private investigator. Like,
yeah.
he had no idea, I'm sure. And I just never spoke to him again. And it was just awkward. And then the last straw was at the school dance. I had a boyfriend at this point, and then he went with this girl to McDonald's, and I was scared they would hook up. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to McDonald's too. This was like literally down the street in Westwood from the school. And then I come back and the nuns are like, we just call your parents. You're out of here. I'm like, I just went to get French fries. Sorry. They're like, you're not allowed to leave with the older kids.
Oh, because you had left the thing.
Yeah.
You were in trouble.
Left the school dance,
Yeah.
the graduation dance, and they're like, you're kicked out. And then 2 days later, I was sent to Palm Springs. So I didn't even do anything. I literally went to McDonald's,
Right.
and the teacher was a creep. So I didn't deserve to be sent for a year, but life could be worse. And it was.
Did we have fun hanging out with Grandma? She got like
Yes.
comfortable furniture and she's probably fun. She's retired in Palm Springs.
She was just such a force of nature. So confident, so powerful. Made me feel so good about myself. We were best friends, so close.
Yeah.
And we just had the best time together. She was just the most fun person.
This is your dad's mom?
My mom's mom.
Oh, so where'd they come from?
She came from New York.
She was an actress when she was younger, your mom?
My mom was, yeah.
Yeah.
They lived between LA and New York, and my grandmother was divorced a couple times. We go to like the polo fields together on the weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And she was so beautiful. She passed away when she was 64.
That's too young. She smoked or something?
She had breast cancer, and then it spread to her lungs and to her brain. And
Yeah.
that's why you just need to get checked. It's so important because she didn't know for 5 years. This was growing and she had no idea.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but the next terrible thing is around the corner because while you're living in Palm Springs, you're going home occasionally. And again, you love that Century City Mall.
Yeah.
Fucking hanging there hard.
Not been there since.
What would you do there? Because, by the way, what year do you suppose this is?
9th grade.
97. Okay, so this crossed my mind. This is so exciting for me. I lived at that Century City Mall when I
It was
first moved
the
to LA.
hangouts. Right?
Best movie theater on the west side. That AMC,
Best.
whatever it was, 150, yeah, Plex. And so, yeah, I lived in Santa Monica starting in 96, and I used to be there watching movies all the time and just perusing. And I'm thinking there was probably 9th grade Paris and Nicole.
I was 100% there every weekend.
And you guys would chat with older dudes, and you would give out your pager number,
Yes.
which is fantastic.
Yeah, the beepers.
The beepers. So some group of dudes that you guys are interacting with invite you guys over.
Yeah, they were these guys that we would see often on the weekends walking around, and they had the beeper numbers and then invited us over.
And then some wine.
Wine coolers.
Excuse me, that was so rude.
It's hot.
Oh my God, I got it. It's hot.
Yes. Wow.
Wow.
For a burp.
Yes.
The bar is low.
Oh, well, maybe it said
Loves it.
confident.
Yeah, it
Do you think it
did.
said confident? Yeah.
It reminds me of the simple life. Just chill.
Oh my
This
God.
fucker's so comfy in his own. He's belching, he's sneezing, he's farting. This guy's so chill.
Okay, wait. We're about to get into something
Yeah, I know.
heavy.
Yeah, we are. This is gonna be kind of like a jackhammer experience, like laughing, tragedy, trauma.
It's like my book. It goes back and forth.
I
Well, that's
sadly,
life,
I bet
right?
most people can guess where this story
So how old are
goes.
these men?
Maybe 21.
Okay.
And you're what, 14-ish?
Yeah, like 15.
Okay. And they call you to come to their house?
They beeped us, so we
They beeped you.
called them from a payphone.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "This is our address, like come over."
Okay.
And we went there.
You and Nicole.
No.
Oh.
This was this other girl. I didn't put her name.
Got it.
But you were roofied.
Yeah. They kept saying, because at this point, I'm like a kid, so I'm not drinking. And they're like, "Oh, have this cool berry wine." Cool. I don't know. Like back then, like everyone was drinking these like wine cool berry things.
Smirnoff Ice.
Probably. And I just didn't want to do
what
it.
I
This
drink.
is your thing.
Well, I'm just saying, just wondering if we can connect on
No,
Smirnoff
I think this is more of a
Ice.
Boone's Farmy type sitch.
Okay, I don't know
you
about that.
Zima.
Yeah, sure. That's another great
Oh my God.
low volume cocktail.
Ugh. I kept saying, "No, I don't want it." And then she's like, "Come on, I already opened it. Like, please just drink
Ugh.
it." So I was just trying to be cool. And I'm like, "Okay." And then it's like blackout. Like I didn't even remember until I was writing my book. Like it was just something that I just tried to erase from my memory.
Well, what was clearly modeled for you was just ignore anything we don't like, and then let's just keep moving in this direction.
Which makes it easier at that point just to not have to think about it and erase it from your mind. But then holding that in for so many years.
Well, what I think you get really good at, and what I'm great at, is compartmentalizing. I can just fucking slam a vault door in my head when I've done stuff that's just so shameful. I'm like, we're just not gonna fucking think about that's gone for now. Because I know if we take a minute and hone in on this, we're done. Like,
Yeah.
there's no moving forward if we,
It's too painful.
yeah.
Just to even acknowledge that it actually is real. It's hard.
It's too much. It's too much.
I've done it now, so it's been a lot, but it took me a long time.
Yeah. The most horrific element of this is that the dude was whispering, "You're dreaming, you're dreaming, you're dreaming."
Yeah. That was
Oh my God.
like when I had the flashbacks of it
fuck?
and like nightmares after I started thinking about it again. That was just like something in my mind, like, "You're dreaming, you're dreaming."
Oh,
So gross.
yeah.
It's like
Oh.
something out of a movie. It's like
Yeah.
so weird just reading my book again that this is actually real life.
Okay, did this happen to you? So I started with a therapist a year ago who I adore now. Even though I've told everyone the chronology of these things that have happened to me, I've never gone through them emotionally, as weird as that sounds. It's like, I can tell you this happened, then I tell you this happened, but they're just details in a timeline, like an investigation. And then in starting to work with this dude and actually really now tell all of it, not just this happened, that happened. My sleep was so fucked up for like 4 or 5 months. I was feeling for months like I'm too vulnerable asleep with my guard down. I have to be vigilant and be awake. There was a point where I was like, maybe this is good for me, but I can't sleep anymore.
It's hard. They feel so real. The nightmares. When you wake up, you're like, oh, fucking thank God it's a dream. Thank God I wasn't there.
What's interesting is like, I don't have any anxiety during the day. I really don't. I'm not afraid of anything in the day. At night, I have tremendous anxiety because I can't defend myself. I can't
You're not in
move.
control.
Yeah, I'm defenseless. I'm laying there fucking unconscious, and that scares the shit out of me.
Do you still have nightmares? They've gotten better.
They've gotten better. Like, it was really frequent, and I thought, well, this is untenable. Whatever this therapy thing is, I can't go a year without sleeping or sleeping this shitty. But yeah, I think it did dissipate. And then I think sustainable calm has been on the other side of it. But I think I needed to do that. I needed to acknowledge I'm fucking terrified, even at 48 and 6'2" and 200 pounds. I'm terrified at night.
I can relate 100%. And
Yeah.
I've not even done therapy since then because it's so hard for me to even talk to someone or trust someone. That the therapy has literally been the documentary and now the book.
Right.
Which has been so therapeutic and so healing.
Because the school was promised to be some sort of therapy.
They market themselves as therapeutic boarding schools where you're going to get all this amazing therapy and support.
And behavior modification.
Yeah.
They use that term a lot.
A lot of that. But it's just complete opposite.
Yeah, so let's delineate between growing up. I knew kids. We all know kids who get sent away to, I want to say it's like Outward
Wilderness.
Bound.
Outward Bound is like the nice one.
A good one, right?
That's a good one, supposedly. I don't know. I've not been.
I don't either, but
Yeah,
every
it's
now and
the bad
then, one of my dirtbag buddies, if their parents had enough money, they'd be like going to Outward Bound. And they'd come back pretty jazzed. Like, that was my understanding of it. And I think some people will probably have that association with some of these that are probably really good for kids to get out and be competent in the real world. This was not that at all.
No.
What was the name of the place?
I went to 4 of them because I kept running away from all of them. The first one was Sea-Doo, which is closed down now, which is in San Bernardino. I was there like a few weeks and I ran away. Then I got sent to the Wilderness, which is called Ascent, which is in Idaho and Montana. I was there for a few months because I kept running away from there. And that was just hell. The people there were just so vicious. You would get beaten, strangled, punched.
What?
We had to live in a teepee, and then we'd go on these things where they'd give us like 150-pound backpacks, and we'd have to go up into the snow, into the mountains for like weeks, and they wouldn't feed us. And it was just like literally like a cult mixed with those camps where they like beat you.
Yes,
Like
yes.
torture
yes.
camp. I don't know.
Yes,
It was
yes.
just hell. And you couldn't speak to your family. So every time I would try to write a letter or something, they would just rip it into shreds, and you get in so much trouble if you had one phone call a week. If you said one bad thing, they'd hang up the phone, tell your parents that you're just lying and manipulating them, and then you would have your phone privileges taken away for months. So it was just impossible. You were just cut off from the outside world.
You probably got it uniquely hard because I have to imagine you are triggering in these employees so much shit. Like, however much they hate rich people, you're hot. They probably are like, this fucking
Hated
bitch
me.
had everything.
Hated
I
me.
had nothing. Fuck this bitch. I'm going to break her.
Yeah.
It had to have been that way.
There was one person at each of these 4 places that would target me, hate me, and literally take out all their anger on me.
On society, on you.
Yeah, it was all the kids were being treated like hell, and a lot of them were being targeted. But for me, especially, I just felt they were just like, "You rich brat,
Yeah.
fuck you. You think you're this, like you're worthless." It was so sadistic. Like the people who work at these places, it's a lot of predators, a lot of sexual abusers, so many people who are pedophiles who've gotten caught, but they don't check people's records. There's no oversight, no regulation. There's no laws. So it's just like the Wild West. And of course, it's like the perfect storm for someone like this. They have control over someone.
Yes.
They could just say to the parents, oh, they're troubled, like they are liars. So that's why they've gotten away with it. These places have been open since the 1960s. And now it's ballooned up into $50 billion a year industry, thousands of schools,
How many kids are going to these?
150,000 to 200,000 kids a year from not just private payment, also the juvenile justice system, children who are from foster care, children who are from other countries who maybe came over and their parents got sent. So then there's nowhere else for them to go. So these innocent kids who literally have lost their family now are being sent to these places, being abused. No one believes them. They have no voice. That's why I've been fighting for federal legislation and have changed laws in 8 states so far.
That's incredible.
amazing.
Going back next month to DC, introducing our bill. So yeah, they fucked with the wrong girl.
Yeah, that's right.
But it was just,
Oh my God.
it was hell. And then Cascade was hell. And then Provo Canyon School was the worst. That's where I was for 11 months, where I didn't see outside, no sunlight, no fresh air for the entire time.
There's one story in particular from there where they put you in solitary confinement for God knows what infringement you did.
Because I didn't want to have the medication. They were forcing us all these meds every day. Like every morning and every night, they give us like a cup with all these pills. And I'm like, I've literally taken Advil in my life and like vitamin C. I've never had any
Bunch
medication.
of mood stabilizers.
Yeah, they were just making everyone zombies.
I mean, it sounds like an orphanage
sounds
from
like-
like the 20s or
Also,
something.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yes.
Have you ever read that? You should read that.
It felt like you were in there. I saw the
Yes.
movie.
Yeah, okay, right. You were Nicholson in this. You're trying not to take your meds.
Because of that, they found them in a tissue paper in my room and they're like, who is this? And they're like, it's Paris. And then they were like, we're throwing you in here. And I was just in this room, locked up in there with people screaming. It was just like blood on the walls, like freezing.
Just say it all, urine, feces.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I can't even think about it.
Yeah.
It was like something out of a horror film every day.
Are you disassociated
about
when you
it.
think
Yeah.
about this and
You
when you
have
talk
to.
about it?
You just like want to survive. So you will learn ways.
But this is where Paris is born, in solitary confinement, disassociating, entering into a fantasy world, and creating a fantasy where you will feel good and shame-free and empowered and liberated.
Yeah. In order to survive, I had to just think about who I wanted to be and what I wanted to become when I got out of there. Like, I'm going to work so hard, become so successful, make so much money that no one will ever control me or tell me what to do ever again. I also said I'm never going to talk about this again. So I'm going to pretend this never happened.
I won't give them the pleasure of acknowledging this happened to me.
Yeah, I just didn't want that to define me and I didn't want to think about it.
You're so resilient, and I have a good deal of fuck you in me. I also wouldn't give anyone the pleasure of knowing they got to me. That's like also part of the game plan for me. My mom has these terrible stories about my father spanking me. I wouldn't cry. Just wouldn't give him the fucking satisfaction, and then it would escalate and escalate. So I have to imagine some part of you too is like, by not acknowledging it, I'm saying you didn't win.
Probably on a subconscious level, yeah. And I think also proving them wrong. Like, I've always loved to be someone who proves people wrong.
Man, 2 years of an 18-year-old's life is 12% of your life was spent in these bizarre places without any love or affection.
It was a living nightmare.
And is your sister at home during this time?
Yeah. I've always felt like I'm the bad one and she's like the really good girl. But I wasn't even bad. When I think
Right.
about it, I was just like any other teenager. I'll talk about why I got sent. I moved from Palm Springs, then all of a sudden to New York City. I've never been anywhere besides Century City Mall.
Yeah.
That's the most exciting place I've
Yeah,
ever been in
and
my
you
life.
love it.
I love it. I don't know. There's a whole other world out there.
Yeah, if you
Like-
love Century City Mall that much, wait till you get to New York City.
Yeah. So I'm like, moved to New York. I start meeting all these people. They're like, oh, come to this club opening. Let's go here, this movie premiere, this event, this after party. I'm like, oh, holy shit, like, this is awesome. My mom's like, you're not going out. You need to come home at like 10 o'clock. So then I just start sneaking out all the time. Then it's just so much fun. Like, what other kid, if you're getting invited to all these places, is not going to go? Of course you are.
Yeah.
And I just loved it so much. Then I started getting bad grades, failing out of school, getting kicked out of school. And then my parents met this therapist person who was like, oh, there's these amazing emotional growth schools. I didn't find out till later that these therapists are all getting kickbacks and commissions from these schools.
Referrals. Yeah.
So my parents had no idea. They thought it was this amazing place. There's these brochures. These kids are smiling. There's rainbows. There's horseback
Yeah.
riding. No nightclubs in sight.
Yeah.
They're like,
No
this is
premieres in the
perfect.
woods.
So when people hear these stories, because sometimes I go on to talk shows, they don't go into the beginning. People are like, holy shit, like, Paris is fucking insane. Like, even when I was reading my audiobook, literally reading it out loud, these 3 dudes who I've never met in my life, every scene I'm just like cringing, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. When I went out the first time, the director and the guys looked at me like, when you heard we were doing a Paris Hilton book, we had no idea, like, whoa, you're a fucking badass.
Yeah.
I have so much respect for you. Like, I had no idea.
Okay, so he super significant amount of your life being imprisoned and then tortured. And also, we got to add middle of the night gynecological exams. They'd wake you up.
No.
Yeah. Another thing I blocked from my memory, and it wasn't until I was listening to these other survivors and they started all talking about it. And then all of a sudden I had all these nightmares and flashbacks. And then I remembered vividly. And I think because we were on all these medications, they purposely do that because it's like you're roofing people all the time.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, you don't remember that correctly because you had a lot of medication or you were dreaming that was not real. But they would come in and target certain girls and bring us in a room and literally hold you down and have male and female staff who are not even real doctors and just be doing literal cervical exams on us and pretending like it was some medical thing, but it wasn't. It was just them
A way to
being
humiliate you.
sick perverts.
Mhm.
And they were getting off on it.
This is crazy. Your doc is the first time I've ever heard of any.
No
of
one knew
this.
because kids are so ashamed that they're like, no one's going to believe you or think you're crazy. Don't even bother telling anyone. Or if you do, they'll sue people. Like people are scared to lose their jobs. I'm lucky that I'm in a position where I'm able to use my voice. A lot of people are too terrified. People don't know. And it wasn't until my documentary that people are finally being believed. And just the amount of people who came up to me and said, thank you so much. Like I haven't spoken to my parents in years, or my parents just pulled me out of there last month because of your documentary. And just to make so much difference has been so empowering.
It does mirror the trajectory of the Me Too movement, which is you have no idea this has happened to a bunch of people. And then when someone finally says it, then someone else feels brave enough to get, and then all of a sudden it's a waterfall and you're like, whoa. I guess Weinstein's the clearest example where it's like, God, so many victims over so many decades. How? And it's like, well, until one person.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh my God, here's the full brunt of it. Or by the way, not even the full brunt. There's still tons of people that don't want to be embroiled. I wonder, were you thinking while it was happening to you, this can't be happening to everybody? Was it even shocking to you to find out how many kids had been?
I just assumed it wasn't happening anymore. When I did my documentary, that was not the original premise of this film. I just felt like I'd been underestimated for so long. People had no idea who I really was. And I wanted to show the businesswoman I was and my brand. Then the director, we started getting close after about 7 months. And one night she's like, these nightmares you've been talking about, can you tell me more about them? And then I told her the nightmares. And then she's like, why do you have these? I'm like, because it happened to me. I'm like, but don't put this in the movie. Like, we're not talking about it. And then the next day she came to me and with all this research, because she had stayed up the rest of the night and started showing me just thousands of kids, all these places, and finding people who I went to the school with. And then I was like, holy shit, like now it's like this whole huge industry. She's like, these people have been looking for you. They want you to be a part of their movement called Breaking Code Silence. And then I started connecting with the girls that I went to the school with who I hadn't seen in so long. And then they came to my house and I just didn't feel alone anymore. I felt like no one's going to understand me. No one will believe me if I told them.
Yes.
These people were there with me and like remembered me before all of this. And they were looking at me like, when we watched The Simple Life, we knew that you were playing a character because you acted like, oh, I've never seen a broom. We were literally on our hands and knees being treated like animals.
Yeah, prisoners of war. God.
It's changed my life.
Yeah. I think in the dream world of human personal evolution, you would first confront everything that happened, process everything that happened, and then weirdly on the other side, be very grateful for everything that happened. Like for me, because I love where I'm at, this is the journey that got me here. I'm afraid that a different journey wouldn't have got me here. I now have a lot of bizarre gratitude for all the parts.
Yeah, if I hadn't been through all I had been, I wouldn't be the person I am today. Maybe this happened for a reason and I was given this special gift and one day I could use this gift to be the voice for so many other people and help make a difference and a change and stop this abuse that's happening. And that is what's happening. And I feel like I have a real purpose now and I can finally be me and not be ashamed anymore and be proud. Like, wow, you're a warrior.
Yeah. But unfortunately, the hits are not over. So you get out of there. What age do I start seeing you everywhere? Pretty soon out of that, right? Like what a flip of the switch.
The Vanity Fair thing. I did that shoot with David LaChapelle. We did that huge story, my sister and I. That I shot right when I got out of there, like 18. It came out when I was 19. Then it just like blew up from there. Yeah. I started just getting hired for things. Hired to go to events, parties.
Yeah, a lot of hosting things.
Inventa getting paid to party.
Yes.
Were you like, wait, what? When they first started asking, were you like, what is this? I just go.
Do I have to do anything when I
Yeah,
get
like,
there?
are you like, what is this?
The big ones happened when I was in Vegas. I wasn't even 21 yet. The Palms Hotel. I was like, we want you to come. We're going to pay you. You're going to wear $1 million dress with $1 million of palm chips on it. And then we're going to fly you in. And we just need your ID. Can you send it to us? And I like took my driver's license, like white out, typed in a different number, like pretended I was 21, sent it in. And then that was such a huge splash all over the media that every club started offering me deals to come to Vegas all the time. And then started doing it all around the world. Then more bad parts happened.
Well, but before then, you should feel zero guilt. I expect you not to remember, but do you remember hanging with me at the Palms Hotel?
Yes.
You do?
Yeah, I remember.
Okay. I find that
How
shocking.
many years ago was that?
1,000. I was still a raging drunk and a drug addict. So
Those days of the Palms were fun. What were we all there for?
I'm now on Punk'd or something. I started getting invited to these things. I don't get paid, but it's like, here's a jet and here's a free weekend. And so I went with my then girlfriend of 9 years, Bree. She drank. She did not do coke like me. So at some point we're hanging, but it's time for her to go to bed. She's not on cocaine. So I don't remember who all I'm hanging with. But anyways, I ended up hanging out with you for hours and it was a fucking blast. And I was in your hotel room and you had some spectacular hotel room.
Yes.
And I was having a very out-of-body experience. I'm like, I am with this gal that I see on all these things. And I will say, I'm primed to have watched the doc because I hung out with you and it was you. It was not the character. I was like, oh, this gal's kind of cool. She's kind of tomboy. She's different. I was really relishing in how different the person I was hanging out with was than the image I had been seeing for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So funny.
I cherish it. I also
fun.
had a night with Britney Spears too back in the day.
Yes. She's an angel.
Yeah,
Just
yes.
so sweet.
Okay, but then Rick Solomon comes around. Yeah. You guys were dating when you were 19.
He was the first guy that I dated when I got out of Provo.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Where did you guys even meet?
We met at this place in New York called Spy Bar.
Also, Rick was very dialed into a very exciting group of people. That
Yeah.
was very alluring.
Yeah, I don't know who this person is.
He was also in Pamela's story. Pamela was talking about him. He's around with the kids and
Oh, God.
yeah.
Yeah.
Complicated.
Wait, what's his job? I don't know anything about this person.
Oh, you'll love it. He sold this tape of them, made a bunch of money, became a pretty successful gambler,
Okay.
is a pretty publicly admitted addict.
Wow.
Pamela talked about it, so I don't feel too bad saying that. And I don't know him from sobriety. But a bad boy, a boxer. That is one question that I haven't seen addressed in the book, which is your type at that time. How do you explain it? Your dad's not a bad boy, right?
No, my dad is the sweetest.
Do you think maybe these crazy dudes you were attracted to, you thought maybe you'd be safe with them because they were fucking nuts and they'd handle some shit if it was necessary?
I think of what I'd went through at those places, I was just not in the right headspace and just looking for excitement, maybe.
More chaos.
Yeah. I think when girls are at that stage, you just love the bad boy.
Some do and some don't. Like Pamela really did. But it makes sense
Yeah.
because her dad was fucking nuts. Her dad was the town bad boy.
My dad is nothing like him.
Yeah. Is there some element of like women who invite a tiger to live in their house? Like, I'm going to be the one person this crazy person is kind to and protective of?
Probably. Yeah. I've dated a lot of bad boys.
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of the last chapter. We'll go through it, but the sex tape comes out and it's of you and you're 19 and you're now 22. It's like 3 years before.
Yeah.
It was in the back of your mind ever like, I wish that thing wasn't out there. Were you kind of waiting for that shoe to drop or no?
No,
It
I
never
didn't
crossed your
even
mind?
remember. I was in Australia on a press tour for one of my fragrances, and my manager called me. He's like, Entertainment Tonight has like a 30-second clip of this video and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, of what? So I just assumed it was like a fake one because the internet was happening and there was lookalikes of me and I just did not even remember. It was like a blacked out night. So I was in shock. Like I didn't believe it until I actually saw it.
And now this starts the thing we saw with Pamela and hers, the thing we saw with Monica Lewinsky. This starts now the full national slut shaming, horrific. Every comedian you watch has got a joke that they've written about you. We're on our fourth huge stop of the shame machine.
I couldn't even leave my house for like months. I was so depressed, so humiliated. Like the whole world has seen me naked. This was supposed to be a private night between two people who were in love. I never thought anyone would ever see it, obviously. And it's something that will haunt me the rest of my life.
It broke my heart to say that, yeah, even now when you walk into rooms, it's in the back of your mind, like who has seen that tape?
Yeah. One night with someone and then the whole world thinks that you're a slut because of it. It's like something that
Yeah, 'cause you're with
every
your
couple
boyfriend.
do together.
Yeah.
Like, I had so many people come up to me after, like, I made a tape with my boyfriend. Like, I made a tape with my husband. It was like something that people would do.
But the conversation is that you're a slut and your sex tape, as opposed to someone took this private piece of information and sold it. Like, that's the problem.
Totally.
And no one's talking about that.
It's just like if someone stole your diary and just published it in the newspaper. Like, I can't imagine anyone be like, oh, that's great. I'm glad we all got to read her diary. People are so mad that you're making money and having a fancy life that when the sex tape comes, they're just like, okay, now I can park all of my anger and jealousy on this one thing that happened and act like that's why I hate her. Not being truthful with themselves, that really they're just insanely envious of your lifestyle or what they perceive your lifestyle to be.
Yeah, I think it's just people who aren't happy with their own lives. So it just makes them mad to see someone else. So then when something bad happens, like celebrating it and it's like they're so happy for it.
It's the best day of their lives.
So it was just painful all the time. Like something I'll regret the rest of my life. And then the thing that bothered me most was when people would say, oh, she did it on purpose. She's part of it. She leaked it. That was the last thing I wanted people to think of me. Like I always looked up to people like Princess Diana and all these elegant women. And I feel that he took that all away from me.
Right. You were building something.
And I wasn't even a sexual person. After what had happened to me, I almost became asexual where I was so scared of it. Like I would kiss and make out because I'm like, oh, if I do anything more, then I can get hurt. But if I only kiss, then it's not a big deal. And everyone would call me.
Would you say your nickname was Blue?
Mrs. Blue Baller.
Yeah.
Oh,
Blue Baller.
God.
So what's really interesting is when I read that, I went back to being in your hotel room at the Rio. And I was like, there's no sexual hunger here.
No, I'm just like one of the boys. I'm just
That's
like
right.
chilling.
Yeah, you want to party and you did not want to fuck.
No.
yes. I think that was palpable. I don't know. I would have put my finger on it, but then reading that, I'm like, yeah. And I did wonder. So that obviously could turn you asexual, but also having your sexuality stolen from you. The only way to have power over it, again, is to just make it disappear.
I don't know. I think I just became like the sex symbol. And then I didn't feel that way inside at all. But then I had to pretend. But then it was almost like a mask. And I didn't even realize till later on within the past couple of years that a lot of the things I was like in life is just a trauma response. Even the character was all a trauma response to what I had been through. And turning into like the cartoon character to not have to think about what I had experienced.
Yeah, you can escape into this person.
And it's like, oh, they're talking bad. It's not me.
It's not
They're
me.
making fun of the character that I created.
Yes. So you still have some agency over it, really. You're like, I made that and that's over there. But when's the first time you found the character? Do you know the first time you did the voice and did the thing and went out as her?
I think it just all definitely started in those schools. And then, especially with The Simple Life, when that came out, and all of a sudden it's like 13.5 million viewers. It's like this huge show. Then I'm going on the late night shows and I couldn't just go and talk in my normal voice and be myself. I'm like, I have to keep doing this character.
Yeah, of course.
And then season after season. And then everyone in the world just thinks that's who I am. But it's like, I'm just being entertaining. Like I know what people would want to see. Like if I was just myself, it would be not boring, but it wouldn't be as entertaining because I know that people are like, oh, we want to see these two rich girls.
Yeah, get
So it's
muddy.
mainly the
Yeah.
show.
It was a show that
Solidified
cemented that.
it. Yeah.
But then when I was around people like you saw, not on camera, I was myself.
Yeah. Huh.
I'm a very shy person, so I think playing the character and being the cameras, it made me less shy because it was like that mask.
You must so relate to Pamela Anderson. Have you read
Oh
her
my God,
book or seen
so
her? Did you see her
much.
documentary?
Yes. And I just saw her the other night at the Versace show because we used to hang out and be close friends.
Oh, you
and
did?
She is just so much fun, so cool, so underestimated. I always knew the real Pam, but I'm so happy that she did this book and this film because now she's finally getting the respect that she deserved because she's such an icon, such a legend.
Yes.
Total icon, yeah.
Such a badass. She's just so down to earth, so sweet. I couldn't be happier for her.
But the shyness really reminds me. She arrived at the Playboy Mansion as a very shy, naive girl who had had her sexuality stolen from her, felt slut-shamed everywhere, and then found a character once they pointed a camera at her. And in a weird way, it was cathartic for her because she had been blinding her sexuality to the world because it was dangerous to. She was reclaiming it in a weird way and being completely in control of it. And so I can totally see how you were kind of shut down sexually, it sounds like. But then when you would go out of the club and you looked super sexy and had sexy clothes on, it was the version of being sexual that you were in complete control of. There's no man in that mix.
Exactly. When things like that happened, you taking control of it in your own way. This whole past couple of years has been these self-discovery years because I was just moving so fast and so many things were happening. I think I was just trying to distract myself from thinking about what I'd went through that I never had time to even just sit and just think about my life, literally until the film in this book.
Okay, the two things that, and we talked about it a lot after we had both watched your doc, the thing that most angered me was the boyfriend.
Ugh.
It made me so angry.
That was not my boyfriend. That was some random guy that I met.
We hated him.
I hated him.
Yeah.
And powerful women have a really, really narrow lane to be in. I'm very aware of it. I can't imagine how finite your pool of men is to date that aren't going to be extremely threatened by the amount of attention you get, the amount of money you make. I felt most bad about that for you.
In that part of the documentary?
Just in general, when I looked at your life, I thought, who's this gal going to find who's big enough for her, who's a big enough, confident enough man to celebrate her and not be threatened by her? There's so few options. That's
always been a difficult challenge just because it was so emasculating to people where they would get angry at me and so jealous and lash out and become extremely abusive. I would let them control me.
Yeah. Well, again, you're finding your way back to your trauma over and over again because that's just what you do.
A bad pattern. Thank God I found my husband.
Yeah.
So Carter, and you guys have been together 2 years?
3 years.
And you'd known each other for 15 years?
Back in the day when I used to have my house in Kings Road, I would always have house parties all the time.
Uh-huh.
And he came to a couple of those parties and I would see him over the years, but I was not ready for any type of relationship. We were just friends.
Yeah, part of me is this is the ideal setup for you to actually know somebody for a long time before you get romantic with them. Another part of me, the skeptic's you have fireworks with people or you don't. How could it have simmered for 15 years? So how did it take that turn?
I think timing is really everything. My heart had such giant walls around it that I was not ready for anyone. And I'm so happy that it happened at the perfect time because I would not have been ready for this type of love. And we reconnected in 2019 during Thanksgiving. I went home to the Hamptons. I hadn't been there in literally 15 years because I'd always been working during the holidays. And I'm so happy that I went because I saw him there at lunch. That night we had Thanksgiving dinner, we kissed, and then we've been inseparable ever since.
Oh, wow.
And the world shut down in March a few months later. So then we had so much time to get to know each other. I feel like when you're dating someone during the pandemic, it's a make or break.
Yeah.
And it's like dog years. 1 year is 7 years.
Yes.
Because it's just so much.
You spend
Intimacy.
7 years worth of time with somebody in 1 year.
Yes.
It's like going on vacation with them for a year, stuck in the same hotel
And
room.
had you already made the doc by then?
Yes, I just finished the
Okay.
doc. It was still being edited.
It came out in 2020.
Yeah.
Right. So you maybe had some catharsis through that let you be a
Yes.
little more open.
What
to
shocked you
him.
about your own life
Yes.
when you watched the doc? I've had this experience where it's I'm able to write about something that's happened to me. And then when I read it, I'm actually able to understand it. And so I wonder what you got out of watching your own doc.
Everything. I always tell the director, I'm so grateful to you. You changed my life. I had just no idea who I was. I was so confused about everything. And it just made me see my life and be you were so strong and so resilient, but you've also been through so much. And I didn't even really go into it that much with what I could have said about the schools because I wasn't even ready at this point. It was a year of shooting, but it took me so long to get comfortable with even speaking about a lot. That's, again, why I wrote the book, because I wanted to go more into it. But yeah, the documentary just showed me who I really was.
Yeah, it's kind of like doing an inventory in AA. It's just well, here it is. This is what your life looks like.
Yeah.
Were there any parts where you're this is a little crazy?
All of it. I've
'Cause
lived
to
this
me-
wild, crazy, exciting, scary, fun life.
Yeah, to me, I was missing the ADHD element. When I put it in that context, it definitely changes it a little bit for me. But I'm looking at it and I'm it's too much for me. There's too much going on. There's too many moving pieces. There's too many transient people. It gave me anxiety a little bit.
my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did it give it to you when you watched it?
Yeah, it was just so much. I was on the road 250 days a year for 2 decades, and it was just too much for a human to go through. I just felt like kind of like this Barbie doll being sent around the world.
Stay tuned for more Armchair Expert, if you dare.
Okay, so I hated the boyfriend. Now
He was not the boyfriend. Please do not call him that.
your fiance. What was his name?
No,
Harold?
no,
Yes, your
no.
fiance at the time.
How
No.
dare
Okay,
you.
yeah,
No.
a dude that was
I did
hanging
not
around.
know him. He's
yeah.
so beyond. I wanted to cut that part out of the movie because I was like, I don't even want this loser in the
To
movie
get any attention.
because he's gonna become
Yeah.
famous and think he's cool.
Yes.
And the director's like, we need to is finally you sticking up for yourself.
Yeah.
Yes, it really humanizes you.
Yeah.
It-
And
yeah,
it-
in a
I was
big
so
way.
proud of myself for finally get the fuck out of here ripping the bracelets off.
Yes.
So good.
But also just showing the obstacle you have. And we just had Priyanka Chopra on, and you asked her kind of the same thing. When you're in relationships, is it hard for them to give it up to you? And then she's like, yeah, on my best days are the days where I'm crying because they can't handle it. And that was that example. And it's just like, oh God, how can she ever have a good day when she has all these people around who want to bring her down?
Yeah.
So beyond.
Sucks.
I love Priyanka. She's so nice, so beautiful.
Yes.
She was a fly girl, which I love. Like in high school, she was like Jenny from the Block. She was like, yes, I love it.
Yeah.
Super
Got
hot.
another one.
It's kind of like when Emerald Lagasse
Yeah,
yells,
bam.
Yeah, I feel like it's like gives me a little jolt when you say it. And then the other thing, and I relate to it so much, I was like, she has this obsession with $1 billion that's going to ruin her life because the $1 billion represents something. Tell me what it means to you. What does it represent?
Well, like I said at the schools, I said I was going to work so hard, make so much money, no one can control me. And then whenever I would get to a goal, it's like, oh, I want to make 10, I want to make 100. Now it's like, now I want to make a bill.
Yes.
But now that I have my baby and my family, it's not like it's so much focus. Even though I know it's going to happen, but now it's not like, oh, that's all I care about. It's more like I care more about the babies and the billions.
yes. But what I thought watching it was I have the same fairy tale, which is I will get so much money that no one will ever have any say over me ever again.
Yeah.
And my therapist will say to me, you know, you're already there. And so these things represent something, a freedom on the other side of that. I believe you actually just have to give yourself along the way because it doesn't work. I'd bet my life on it. If you got to $1 billion, you're like, I still don't feel that safe. I need to get to 10, whatever the thing would be.
I need
It'd be
a zillion
I need
dollars.
a zillion. I got to be richer than Bezos. I got to leave Bezos in the dust. I'd imagine it represented, and you're saying it did, safety, which I have to tell myself all the time, like, you're safe. Because I don't just naturally feel safe. I have to go like, you're 48. You're a big boy. No one's coming for you. It's over. But it's so hard to really believe it's over.
Because it's ingrained in your mind so deeply.
It's your worldview. When that stuff happens to you, you're like, the world is going to try to fuck me. And so I got to be on guard at all times. I have to be committed to recognizing I'm safe because I'll just act the same way all the time.
I can totally relate to that so much.
Yeah. For you, I'd imagine the $1 billion would also silence everyone. It'd be like, oh, how fucking dumb can I be if I got this $1 billion? But again, I'll say that's an illusion as well. Whoever hates you is still going to hate you with $1 billion. And we already know you're smart. And you know you're smart. So you just give it to yourself, right? Those two things, I just was a little bit like, I want her to come off of the $1 billion thing because it's not going to give her what she wants.
I feel like I'm in the best place in my life now. And I'm so happy and just so grateful for everything. And this baby has literally brought so much love into my life that I just feel like my life is complete now. I'm going to continue working because I love what I do, but I also just want to be there for all the moments with my little baby.
Yeah.
I can't wait for him to be older and just be able to have all those experiences, like being the Tooth Fairy or being Santa Claus, Easter Bunny, just getting to relive your childhood.
Right some wrongs,
So
maybe
awesome.
that happened
Yeah.
to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, and you like heal yourself along the way. When you show up for this little person the way you wanted someone to show up for you, it's weirdly, I think, healing. Okay. Oh, another thing is So there was the Palms. Then there was this last May at Formula One. You were DJing at a party I was hosting.
The Hilton party.
The Hilton party.
Yes. That was so much fun.
In Miami.
In Miami. And
Fun.
you make an insane amount of money to DJ, and I'm so happy for you. She's the highest paid female DJ in the world.
Yes, love it.
Yes.
Slang.
Just like, and I was having that moment where I've already seen the doc. I already know who you really are. I'm a fan. And then I'm watching you DJ and I'm seeing the impact you have on people. It's pretty wild. In fact, knowing you're shy, I don't know how you do it because you're sitting there just on display and people are mesmerized. Some are dancing, but most people are just too fucked up by the experience of standing 6 feet from you and they're filming every moment of it. They don't know why. They don't know what to do. And I was like, this is so intense for a shy person.
Yeah. Again, you have the ability to disassociate and compartmentalize a little bit.
I get really shy, but the energy, playing in front of smaller crowds, it's shyer. Like when I'm at Tomorrowland,
It's very
playing in front of
intimate.
like hundreds of thousands of people, I'm not as shy, which is weird.
Now, that
But-
kind of makes sense.
It's not as intimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the other ones are really intimate. You're
Yeah.
going to lock eyes with actual people.
It's so fun to see. Like even at those events, like all these people who would never dance or party are just like, yeah. And then there's other people who are like parasized, who are like,
Parasized, yes. That's what it felt like they were stuck in a retractor beam or something.
I love it though. It's so nice to have like that effect on people to make them so happy or just make them so excited. Like that's such a cool thing to experience.
Don't you think the challenge, though, is to feel worthy of that? I think that's
Which
a
I do
big
now.
mind fuck. Yeah.
Definitely. Another thing, when I get shy, I put sunglasses on, which I learned from that movie Big Daddy with Adam Sandler.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Old
that's
classic.
I love that movie.
Yeah, you had some pretty impenetrable shades on.
Yeah.
Well, this has been wonderful. Congratulations that it's on the bestsellers list. I'm
Thank
not
you.
surprised. Oh, I want to add this because I think some people would have a natural curiosity who you are as a writer, like what your voice is. And what's lovely is it's your voice. I think even if it didn't say Paris Hilton, someone handed me this is someone's memoir. I think I would be like, I think this is Paris Hilton.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's so her voice. There's
Yeah.
so many funny asides. I love how much you own loving shit and getting dressed up and you love your outfits. I
Yes, I
love
love
that there's
that.
no shame in that aspect of your life.
You have to have fun with life.
Yeah.
You
We get
only-
one.
One time.
Yep.
I just want to make the most of it. My book, like you laugh, you'll cry, you get angry at things that have happened. So it's just this roller coaster of a life.
Yeah. All with the ADHD
Yeah.
umbrella over the whole thing. So it's very fast paced and fun and exhilarating.
Like your
to
life.
Read.
Mirrors
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. And it's very much your voice. So congratulations. I think that's the hardest thing to do is for people to put their real voice down in
Thank
writing.
you. I'm really proud of this book.
All right. Are you still doing your podcast? This is Paris. Do we need to promote that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. How often do you do that?
It just depends because I've been traveling a lot. I used to do it every week,
You
but
did.
now my schedule has been out of control. I've just been so busy because I have 1111 Media, my media company. So I have my podcasting company, my film production, TV production, my metaverse business, products, licensing, getting in the studio, doing the second album.
Yeah, you have
So
19
much.
product lines.
And a child.
30th fragrance about to come out.
Oh my God. It scares me thinking about it. I need so much less to do. I look at my calendar in the morning and there's generally 3 things. We'll
Lucky.
record 2 people and then we'll have a fact check. And I'm like, oh, this is a lot of stuff.
Still a lot. Yeah.
I bet there's got to be 30 things on your calendar.
But it's
one
so
day.
fun to be like at home and do it. Me, it's like, 30 things. It's out of control every day.
Yeah. But that's your zone. That's your superpower. That's how you
It
like to
is.
work. Yeah.
And I'm putting all these different hats on. Like 1 second, I'm like the businesswoman. Then I'm an advocate. Then I'm a writer. Then I'm an artist. Then I'm a DJ. Then I don't even know, an astronaut flying to the moon.
Yeah. Do it all.
Yeah, do it all.
Well, it's been a pleasure to know you for 20 years now. I'm so happy for you for this book. It's very, very brave, and people already love it. So everyone check out Paris, the Memoir. It's going to be enormous. We'll talk to you again, yeah?
Thank
This was
you.
really fun.
So
We should-
like my
Fun.
favorite interview I've ever done. I love
Oh,
you guys.
that's so nice.
Thank you.
So awesome and so good to see you again. And
just so proud of everything you're doing.
Oh,
It's so
thank
awesome
you.
to meet you.
Really nice to
I love
meet
that air
you.
conditioning is so cold in here. I'm like,
Every other interview, it's so hot. I'm like, you turn the air on. They're like, no, the sound.
Yeah.
It's so cool in here.
Yeah, we
Oh.
keep it chilly.
I love it.
Monica doesn't love it, but it's kind of a necessity
all right,
for
it's all
me.
right.
I stop functioning once I get above a certain temp.
I'm
All right,
saying.
I adore you. Good luck with everything.
Honey.
And now my favorite part of the show, the fact check with my soulmate, Monica Padman.
You're in a new outfit.
Yeah. Repeat of yesterday, but new.
Different.
But different, yeah. Same kind of new shirt, same kind of new slacks.
Yes.
Linen pant, summer pant.
Great summer pants.
James Purse.
That's right. James Purse.
Purse.
Ding, ding, ding.
Is it a ding, ding, ding?
Yeah, remember it used to
Olsen
be.
twins.
Yeah, it was a whole joke.
Oh, no,
on
I know that. But is it a ding, ding, ding for this episode?
No.
Okay.
Just a ding,
I was
ding,
like,
ding
I
for us.
don't remember seeing James Purse since our talk about Ashley a year ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Speaking of, sort of, now it is a ding, ding, ding.
Oh, okay.
Because I posted a picture of a new mug I got. Houston's.
Oh, yes. I saw that. Story?
So excited.
Story.
Story. JG.
JG.
Yeah. He commented that the Olsen twins were going to be very mad because I had posted his mug with the Olsen twins all over that. And now I have competing mugs.
Are they either of them on social? No.
They could care less. They are so cool.
It's funny in our modern society what tracks as if someone's not on social media, it imbues this sense that they're like internally confident in a way that no one else is.
They are so off the grid. They do not do interviews. They do not they're just really committed to having a closed door.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that so interesting.
I know. I just think it's really funny that basically
Enigma.
anything that very few people do is going to be of some kind of interest to the rest of us. So whatever the current thing is,
Yeah.
then it just gets intriguing that, why don't they join the group?
For me, it just makes them so much more elusive. It's like, who are they? Like they
Right.
become gods. Who even are they real? And it's like so weird that you dated her because I don't think she's real, but then you dated her.
I'm not so sure anymore on myself. Yeah.
We don't know if you dated her.
Yeah. By myself, not keep wondering who she is, just like you.
Exactly. And this is a ding, ding, ding.
Oh, we found it. We muddled around enough in the weeds and we found something.
Because this is for Paris.
Oh, it is.
And Paris essentially invented all of this.
In social media, yeah.
I mean, being out there,
Mm-hmm.
having your persona out there.
Yeah.
What a cool woman.
Paris.
Yes.
Totally. Agreed.
Really liked her.
Me too.
A lot.
Me too.
Yeah, so Mug Wars. What
Mugworts.
else? I made a
Ooh,
bolognese.
Mugworts.
Ooh. Oh, Hogwarts.
Yes, that would be a fun mug company, Mugworts.
For muggles who wish they were at Hogwarts.
Yeah, Mugworts.
Those people are embarrassing.
That's you. You're a muggle who wishes you were at Hogwarts.
I'm embarrassed by myself.
We're listening to it right now. Every night at bedtime. We're in the first book.
Oh.
Harry's just left platform 9 3/4.
He's on his way.
They just got there, and now I think the Sorting Hat was.
Oh my God.
And then Hermione. It's really interesting because my association with Terrence Posner is the films,
right?
And so, I pictured Daniel Radcliffe.
See, I wish I.
And you
that.
don't, right?
No.
So, what did he look like in your mind? Did Daniel come close?
Yeah, I mean, they did do a good job.
Yeah.
But to me, his bone structure is a little bit leaner. I mean, Daniel Radcliffe's lean, but it's like his
more
face.
oval?
Yeah, it's like thinner.
They had the drawings on the cover, right? Was that what you envisioned?
Maybe.
That was probably pre-movie.
Definitely pre-movie. Yeah, I have the OG books with the OG artwork.
Yeah. How much would you love to have one of the first 500?
I'd pay
I pay
Anyone out here?
40 million.
40 million.
Well, I do have a first edition of
One of the second books.
book, I think, or the third I got in London.
Yeah.
And that was a huge get.
It is.
It's not the
but
first.
The first press of the second book was probably in the millions.
All right.
But there was only 500 of that first press.
I know.
What do you have you ever looked up and see how much those are worth?
Will you look it up? Will you look up how I can get one? Dax has offered to pay.
Never. You already know my position on scarcity factor and inflated value surrounding I reject it.
Except
I don't want to play
not with the cars.
But that's completely different because it's not driven by scarcity. There's a ton of things I could be into because they were scarce. I'm not into any of them. Now, some of the things I'm into are super scarce, but it's all performance driven.
Well, yeah, but remember we said like you have to get that whatever before it goes away. Like we did have a whole conversation about that. It's its last.
The Dodge 170. Yes.
So that is that.
But again, that's what appealed to you about it. What appealed to me was 1,025 horsepower. It's never happened in a production car. So I was only after that number.
Okay, but what appeals to me about Harry is not, it is the limited edition piece, but it is my favorite. It has changed my life, those books.
Yes.
So it's not like I would just want Anne of Green Gables first edition.
Yeah, although I
want that. Yeah.
Right. The first edition of Sorcerer's Stone is valued at between $35,000 and $55,000.
That's not that much.
For one of the first 500?
First edition?
Yeah. First print of just 500 copies. Valued at that. I don't know if you can find them at that.
What about first edition Philosopher's Stone? Do you even know what that is?
No, what's that?
That is the British version. It was first called Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. And
so then
for
maybe
American print was Sorcerer's Stone. They changed it to Sorcerer's Stone.
I
have
first edition for that sells for $471,000.
Okay, so that must be
the first 500.
The first 500 because they only existed in England.
Paperback.
That sounds more like it. I was expecting $1 million for those.
I expect 40 mil.
Thriftbooks.com has it for $2,200.
Well, that can't be.
That's not. That's a lie.
And it's autographed.
It is?
By Voldemort? Does that spook you when I say that? You're so into the lore that's troubling.
He's scary.
But Harry wants to say it too. That's what he's struggling with right now. He's in the same boat I am. He wants to keep saying Voldemort, but people are getting all revved up about it. And he's like me. He's like, those are just sounds your mouth make. You're assigning all of this.
He is like you. I know. I'm okay saying it. I say it, Voldemort.
Yeah.
Also, you're listening to it. So that why you said Voldemort?
Because that's what I heard. That's not what the guy's saying, I'm sure. I'm sure he is saying it right. The narrator's insanely good. Yeah.
Yeah,
he's
the
really
British
good.
people say Voldemort.
Oh, so maybe I'm doing it correctly.
I know, but it's like orangutan and orangutan.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't
even
you
though it's
reject that.
right, I don't like that.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fair.
So
I have a lot of those. They make no sense, but I have them.
I like Voldemort.
Okay.
Anyway, I want that. I also want, just reminding everyone, I also want the Tiffany's, the bone cuff.
Bone cuff?
Yeah.
Where did you discover this and how much does it cost?
It's $21,000.
Okay. And where did you see it?
18 karat gold.
Yeah, I want the gold, not the silver. I saw it on a fashion video.
Okay. Who was wearing it?
It was a stylist, Kate Young, shout out. She had some videos about lots of things, and she did one on Tiffany's, and she showed the bone cuff, and I was like, ooh, I love that. It's very, we've talked about it on here before, but I'll just remind you what it looks like, because it's very,
Classic?
no, it's like cool.
Oh.
Yeah, and it wraps around the bone.
It's not for me.
I love it.
No.
Why?
Because it looks like melted taffy.
I know.
Yeah,
like a
I like.
warrior.
Well, melted gold.
You know this about me already. I like hard lines and square things. That looks like a big wad of taffy around your wrist. No disrespect, Tiffany's. Great job. Please sponsor us, but that's not for me.
God, please sponsor us or me. So, anywho, those are the things I want. I want a bone cuff.
It's like our early Christmas list we're doing in
bone cuff
May.
And a first edition Philosopher's Stone. I do have a soft cover Philosopher's Stone from London when I studied abroad there in college.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. Cool gift if people like Harry Potter. Okay, Paris.
Paris. Gay Paris.
There's really
There's no facts.
There's one fact.
Oh my God, only one fact.
Yeah. So we talked about the palate cleansers for fragrance, olfactory palate cleanser, lots of coffee, you know. We were basically like, what's it called? She said there is a name. There's olfactory palate cleanser, nasal palate cleanser. Doesn't really have a name.
Let me see if I can name it for everyone. Okay.
Oh, but it's also called nose fatigue.
Right.
If you don't do that, you have nose fatigue. If you don't cleanse the palate.
Okay. You know Swiffer, the floor cleaners?
Yeah.
Sniffer.
Yeah.
With a W.
That's good because you're cleansing.
Yeah, you're cleaning out your sniffer.
What do you mean with the W?
Doesn't Swiffer have a, I guess it's SW, Swiffer.
Yeah.
Sniffer, never mind. The N's going where the W's going. Forget I said anything about W. I had that wrong. This is where my weakness shows.
No, but that's okay. That you have to talk it out.
Yeah, snifter. No, that's what you smell brandy in.
Oh.
Yeah. All right, back to the drawing board.
But
we can go with sniffer, but that felt good with Swiffer.
Yeah. No, but sniffer, you said.
I did.
And now you're saying no?
I don't know. It doesn't make you immediately
right.
think of Swiffer the way I want it to.
Exactly. That's right.
That's right. That's the problem with it. Therein lies the problem. So, how about this?
What's another cleaning product? Pine Sol.
Ooh, Pine Sol, Ajax, Dove, Palmolive, Windex. Oh. Smell water.
No, it's gotta be classy because you're dealing with fragrance. That's a fence I'm building for you.
Yeah,
it has to be classy.
Okay, boy, that's rough because it's nose, nostrils, smelling.
Well, olfactory. Remember, you can.
Ooh.
Use that.
Yeah, hold on one second while I sneeze. I'm gonna clear mine.
Ding, ding, ding. Look at the light.
There was a sliver coming through.
Oh, there was. Okay.
That's exactly what I was looking at. I was like trying to really hone in on that.
Wow.
What's happening there physiologically? Why are you looking at light?
I know.
What the fuck?
Is it a trick to get us to look up? It may be up.
No, I can feel it in my body physiologically when I find the sharp light. It makes that sneeze activate. How are your eyes linked to that? What is going on there?
I don't know.
Bright light causes the eye's pupils to constrict, which may indirectly cause secretion and congestion in the nasal mucous membranes, which then leads to a sneeze.
Oh my God. That was quick, Wabi. That was really impressive.
That's bizarre.
Yeah.
So much happens.
This thing is
the
awesome.
body.
Well,
this body.
I started we had a guest that recommended the 4-part How to Change Your Mind show on Netflix, a docuseries about psychedelics. And we started it last night. I was kind of reminded while watching it, and I've had this thought a bunch of times on psychedelics. You're seeing so many things if you're having like visual hallucinations. So whenever I was on shrooms, I'd always find some grass and lay down and look up at the blue sky. Whenever I did that, the blue sky would turn into thousands of these little diamond-shaped sparkles. Ooh. And I'd follow the diamonds around and they'd do certain things. And what I was thinking about watching it last night, and I've thought about it while I've been on psychedelics, is how insanely creative your brain is and who's creating it. That's what's so weird. Like you're just observing
chemicals.
Yes, but you're observing all of this stuff. And I've had it as far as like I told you, I was looking in the mirror naked about to take a shower on shrooms, and I noticed I kind of look like a gorilla, like this weird.
Well, you are one.
Yes, but I had hair growing out of the side of me and all that. But it was wild. Yes, I almost looked like a werewolf. But I, of course, knew I'm not a werewolf, so it didn't bother me. I was just like, wow, this is so wild to see myself as this big, hairy werewolf. Think how much computing power it takes to make CGI. In the amount of time it takes to make like a 3-minute scene where all the visuals are filled in and it all looks real and it's beautiful. And then also creating the whole world. Like your brain has the power to CGI create a totally different world.
Yeah.
Real time. It has its own direction. It decided that we should look like a gorilla in that moment. I didn't pick that.
Yeah.
That's an astounding computing power
It is.
that the brain has.
Yeah.
That it can make a real-time movie in your eyeballs when on psychedelic. I don't know. I was just really marveling at
It's insane.
how capable the brain is.
I know. It's scary. Like it's both. It's like amazing in a good way and it's amazing in a bad way. I mean, it's like
Is it
wow.
scary in the way that you fear getting trapped in that version of reality?
Well, no. It's just what the brain can do
Oh, right.
is scary.
Meaning, yeah,
Like-
if it takes over and someone, what are they
Yes.
going to do?
There's no beating it, I guess is sort of my sense.
Once
It's
you've
like,
lost control of
it's
it.
gone.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. This was interesting. The first episode of that series is on LSD.
Yeah.
It talks about the guy who invented it and how he came to invent it. And he, of course, was now the first person who ever tried it. And they call it the only pure trip of all time because everyone else has known that was coming. This guy was just in his lab and he had touched enough of it that things started getting very colorful and interesting.
Yeah.
And then on the other side of it, he realized, oh, I think it was that thing I must have touched. It must have got into my skin. So now he decides to do it orally. And I forget the dosages, but I want to say he did like 0.25 milligrams. But now what people would do is like in the millions, right? He did like, I don't know what the math is, but it sounds like he did maybe 1,000 hits of acid
What?
his first time. Yes.
Oh my God.
And it describes his bike ride he was taking home and how he was in that kind of so complicated of a world, it'd probably break your brain.
Oh, God, yeah.
He was fine though. He lived through it. And
Wow.
he talks about the completely losing sight of reality for a while and then coming back down and getting into a manageable state where everything kind of became beautiful and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know, just crazy to think of someone
Wow.
trying it for the first time and doing 1,000 hits for the first time.
250 micrograms.
Okay, and what
Well-
does someone normally do? It's a normal dosage of acid. 250 micrograms.
Much slower than when you found out about the
It's
sneeze.
much harder. I don't even some of the characters. I don't know.
Normal.
Okay, I'm going to move on. You, if you
Okay,
can
great.
But the pedophile.
Oh, no.
I wrote it down to remember, and then it just came out. We were talking about pedophiles yesterday. It came up,
Yeah.
and you were saying you're glad you don't have that.
Oh, right.
And I
Armchair
agree.
Anonymous. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And I fully agree, and that's what I mean. That's chemicals in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
and that's so scary. Like you don't know what you're gonna get.
Yes. And I thought about it a little longer after we had that episode and we were talking about it. And in a nutshell, I was saying I feel bad for this person.
Yeah.
And that person should also go to jail, is
Yeah,
what
yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about it a little further, and I as I do, I have these arguments with fictitious people who are going to be mad at me that I have compassion for a pedophile. And I guess my defense of it, I was starting to think like, I would say this to anybody. Have you ever in your life made a decision? I'm going to be attracted to adults. Like no one has to make that decision.
Right.
I didn't have to make that decision.
Yeah.
But people who are judgmental of it, it's almost as if they're acting as if they too were confronted with this and they chose the high ground.
Well, I don't. That's also not fair to people, right? I mean, they cause the most harm of a group. I'll say that.
Yeah, we're up there with murderers.
Up there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
preying on children is, I think we can universally agree, is
Horrible.
the worst thing or horrible.
Yeah.
So I think you make it so that they're like holier than that. They're not. The truth is that is a very scary person on earth. That's a person that if they're acting on this should be removed from society. We have to figure this out.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Agreed.
And yes, you are able to say, and I have compassion, and so am I. I do too.
Yeah.
But I also recognize if someone's like, I don't really need to.
That's what I'm getting at. I think to have that position, there's something about that position to me that signals they think
I just don't think they're going down
Let's
the
put it this
road
way.
of
You would
trying
never-
to have compassion because I guess for them maybe they'd be like, why? Like, what's that going to get?
Well, I think the only thing I think the worst thing is to be someone who's been victimized sexually by a predator.
Yep.
And I think second only to that is someone who is preying on people. I don't think that's a life I want. That's a terrible life on planet Earth, is someone who is molesting people. There's so many things I'd rather be than that person. Almost all the other things.
Yeah. There's destruction on the other end of that person. And I think also maybe people believe differently than we do, which we are like, it's full chemical.
I think people say it in a way that they think someone chose to be that. That's what I'm rejecting.
Yeah. I agree.
If someone chose that, I'd be the most judgmental person in the world. And I'd have zero compassion for the person.
Yeah.
If I really think they were like, I could go either way on this, I'm going children, I would be very judgmental of that person and have no compassion. And I don't think anyone picks that.
I don't either.
And I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. That's not me.
Same. Yeah. But brains. But there's that episode of This American Life on it, and there are people who have that proclivity who know it's horrible and who have done what they can to minimize the suffering. And that is
admirable.
Incredibly.
But again, I think that's really what I'm getting at. Is we have not made this a safe place for someone to admit that, because there's so much judgment and you're so evil. It's not a safe place to come out and say, oh, I think I'm one of the people who's attracted to children, like happened in that episode. But when you hear it firsthand, you have tremendous compassion for that. You know that kid didn't choose that, and you're proud of him for flagging himself.
Yeah.
But you need a place that's safe enough to flag yourself. If next stop is I've said this, I go straight to jail, or I'm killed, or I'm neutered, whatever, which a lot of people would love to see happen to anyone that's that way. I just think the way we deal with it is that we will try to do our best to help the person. I think more people like that kid would have the confidence to acknowledge they're that way if it felt safe to do so.
Maybe. I don't know.
I think that's how we reduce ultimately total amounts of predatory behavior. Is it's talked about, it's accepted, there's a program to intervene.
But do we think there is? Like, do we think there's something that can be done to
prevent
it?
them from preying on people? Yeah, I got to believe there is. Or kill them. Kill them right away. Truly. If there's no solution and the only outcome is they're going to molest people, then kill them. That's what I think should happen.
Okay.
What's the matter?
Nothing. I just don't really know. I just don't know where else to go with it. Like, I don't think everyone has control over that. I really don't. Like,
right, but I'm saying,
I'm not for killing someone.
But if someone truly believes that it's inevitable, then if that's your belief, you would have no other option than to immediately incarcerate them for life or kill them.
Yeah, I guess
because you can't allow it to happen if it's inevitable,
right?
Yeah, and so the best part of me thinks, no, I have to believe there's a third option than kill the people or put them in a box for the rest of their life.
But are you willing to? I mean, you probably are, but I think a lot of people are probably scared to roll the dice.
Sure,
when they have children walking around,
but. What I would argue to them is by not acknowledging it, they've already rolled the dice.
Yeah, I agree.
Now they've done nothing, in fact.
Yeah.
They've provided no safe place to study it, no safe place for experimental treatments, no safe place for anything. Just, let's ignore it and then let them molest people.
Yeah. It's complicated.
Yeah. It's complicated because it's very hard for us to have compassion for people who injure people.
Well, it's complicated logistically in this case. I mean, it's complicated both ways, but it is complicated logistically to think, okay, we're going to try out this program and we really, really hope it works.
Yeah.
It might not, but we're hoping for the best.
Yeah.
That's very complicated for people to understand. Okay, so how's that going to work? So they go to a thing and then they're going to be around my kids and we'll hope it worked. Like, that's hard. That's complicated.
It's very complicated, for sure.
But I do have compassion, because if I had a brain like that,
and you'd be in the same treadmill as every other person that has compulsive behavior they can't control, which is like, you would believe yourself, I'm never doing it. The amount of shame, the amount of damage I recognize I did, I'm never going to do it again. I'm never going to do it again. And that doesn't work. Like,
Well, but but exactly.
Well, without intervention, like addicts, the compulsion to molest children is not stronger, in my belief, than the compulsion to shoot dope if you've been shooting dope for 3 years. I don't think there's a stronger compulsion in the world than if you are a strung out junkie. Nothing could be harder than not scoring.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that we intervene in that situation makes me believe that, yes, compulsive destructive behavior can be interrupted and stopped.
I guess people would say the rate at which there's relapse is high enough that if we applied it to pedophiles, that would be scary.
It would be scary, but what alternative are someone who's saying that proposing?
They're probably saying just put all these people in jail.
Great.
That is my assumption.
Yeah, so great. So, and I believe there's a lot of people who feel very good about the fact that the second some teenager would admit, like that boy did, I have these feelings, they'd be fine with that person going to jail for the rest of their lives or putting a junkie behind bars for the rest of their life, whatever.
Well,
there are people that
again, that's not the same because the junkie is hurting themselves.
Yeah.
That's where this whole thing breaks down, is the harm to others.
But my frustration is it's kind of like the healthcare debate. What's maddening, I find it so infuriating about the healthcare debate is that's fine if you don't want to provide free healthcare for everyone and you don't think that's a right. That's fine. But we do.
Right, totally.
We already do. We already give everyone who walks into an emergency room in America treatment. You're already paying for it, and you're paying for it in the most expensive way possible. So that's insanely infuriating to talk with someone because they live in a world in which we can reject people from the hospital. We can't.
Yeah.
So now what? Similarly, you're going to incarcerate someone for the rest of their life that hasn't committed a crime because you think they might commit the crime is crazy. Also, then you'll never hear about it. So they all stay underground. So you're going to have maximum predators not dealing with their addiction. Mm-hmm. So you're going to get the worst outcome with that opinion. It's just, that's what you're.
So let's do a thought experiment, okay?
Okay, great.
What if a kid tells their parents, I really, really want to shoot up my school. And I feel it's coming. I want to.
Yeah.
What do you think should happen to that kid?
I think that kid needs to, there's no guns now. There's no guns around at all. I think that
But we live in a world where that person.
No, this is my kid comes home and tells me this. All guns are gone.
But
from the house.
From the house.
Yeah.
But a kid,
how's a kid going to go?
It is not hard to get a gun.
I think it is hard to get a gun. I think if you wanted to go get a gun today illegally, yes. I think if you were trying to buy a gun illegally, it would be very, very hard for you to do. Where would you start?
I can get one legally.
I know you can get one legally, but if we have the system in place by the parents call immediately to the police. I want my child to be denied for gun ownership, gun sales. I'm on a no gun list. Okay. Totally doable. So there's no legal way for them to buy a gun now, right?
Okay.
I don't think it's easy to go buy a hot gun. I think that's in the movies where are you going to start wandering around downtown and start asking people like, hey, you know where I can get a gun?
I mean, I think they
it's
could
really
go
hard
to
for a teenage
friend's house that has a gun and you get the gun.
Okay.
I mean, there are ways.
Right. So within this admission is you're not going to school now.
Okay.
Okay. You're getting homeschooled. That's now happening. So you're not even in that school anymore. You're monitored. We're now on you. You don't have freedom. You have friends that are allowed to come over to the house, or you have someplace you go and you supervise. And we get you through this next few years. And we're basically in jail with you now because our whole life now is dedicated to observing you and making sure you don't do anything crazy. But that 3-year jail I go in until you're in full adulthood and you've had a lot of therapy is better than the lifetime in prison you do. It's better than that. So I just have to buck up, and now you are a ward of this house.
Right. Okay, but you made it about your kid. But
Yeah.
I'm saying I'm making it about a kid who is talking about your kid's school, not your kids. Another kid
Yeah.
who is saying, I want to shoot up the school.
Yeah.
And it's your kid's school.
Right.
You think
all the same things I
you
just
do.
said
Okay.
have to happen.
That's
the
what
kid has
I'm-
to leave my school. He has to be monitored 24/7. He has to have observed friendships.
Okay.
He can't go anywhere and get a gun. He has to be in therapy.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, no,
is
that
it
kid
the
doesn't. Shouldn't
same?
go, I don't think that kid should go to jail to
Okay.
prevent him from doing it. I think we can handle that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think they should go to jail?
I don't know what the answer is.
Because I
but-
want to do something isn't a crime, just technically.
I know that.
Yeah.
But I'm more on the scale than you of I'm willing to do some things to prevent a elementary school getting shoot up. And if that means putting someone in jail who hasn't committed a crime, I actually am fine
And
with
that's totally fine and fair. But then you have to go the next step. So that's the new law. Now, do we ever hear one single time in the rest of history that a kid admits he wants to do that? No, because he knows he's going straight to jail. So we'll never ever even hear it now.
Right. Well, yeah.
That'll be the outcome. It's kind of like,
But normally, yeah, I guess this is true. I mean, normally they don't tell anyone. That's how it happens in the first place.
no, I know, but this is a scenario.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
We're
Again,
tackling
it's
all the
complicated.
tough ones. We got pedophilia.
But let's talk
school
about another
shootings.
thing I've tackled. A bolognese.
Okay,
I made
let's-
one
Let's
yesterday.
go. Okay, this will get us out.
Easy pivot.
And it took 3 hours to simmer.
3 hours. So that you would put a couple quarts of water in that pan that slowly cooked out, or
So
what?
this was Allison's new recipe this week.
Okay.
I made it immediately. But bolognese, when you're a chef, is very specific. There's a recipe. You make a mirepoix, which actually does have carrot. It has carrot, onion, celery, like tiny.
Oh, I'm scared of, but tell me more.
Yeah, that's the mirepoix. And then you cook that down with the beef and the pork, whatever. And then you add, depends. A lot of people only use tomato paste, like a very little tomato, and white wine, milk.
Milk?
That's in a standard bolognese.
Oh my God, milk.
Yeah, milk.
Wow.
And then you let that simmer for a really long time. But she
Till it
has
turns to
mixed hers up
cheese?
a tiny bit. What?
Till it turns to cheese? All that milk turns to cheese?
Now it emulsifies. And
I wonder if I should dash a little milk in mine.
so I
You
made
did it? How was it?
It was so good.
It was. It turned out amazing?
Yes.
Wonderful.
It was really good.
Be honest, and I will not be hurt at all. Better than mine.
No, it's so, but see, yours is different. I don't think,
You wouldn't want to call mine bolognese.
I wouldn't.
Okay. Yeah.
and it's its own category of spaghetti sauce.
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing. in the
Okay.
world.
Okay.
But this is different. It is because of the emulsification of the milk and it's a different thing.
Yeah, my hunch is this is much more like the bolognese at Chateau Marmont.
Exactly. Like they're doing a standard
Yeah.
bolognese. She did mix it up a little bit. Instead of classic mirepoix, she used fennel. I was nervous about that.
Yeah, fennel's very strong.
I know, but not when you cook it down for that long. So I had 2 carrots in my fridge, so I did throw those in as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
And then the fennel, and then onion, garlic, whatever. I was gonna bring you some, but again, I'm stricken with fear to bring you food.
Why?
I don't know why. I have
you see what I eat. I eat
I
ground
know,
beef.
but I have this. I want it to be perfect, and it tasted so good. But I do wish I had, because I was hungry and I knew this was going to take, 3 hours to just simmer. So with all the chopping and stuff, 3.5, 4 hours. I wish I had done a little bit better knife work on my veg.
Things were a little big.
I think they could be smaller. It was still a good fine chop, but it needed to be smaller to give to you.
And I would imagine chefs are against food processors.
Yeah.
Do they say why?
You just got to be good at knife work.
Well,
They're not like, they wouldn't be mad if anyone else did, but they wouldn't.
I know. I'm just curious if they have an argument that something whatever we'd say. Gastronomy? What do they call it?
Gastronomy is.
Gastronomic. I can't do it. That something happens to the actual composition of the vegetable when you do that, and that's their argument. If that were the argument, I would buy it.
Yeah.
But if it's just, one thing is theoretically superior to the other, that's kind of silly.
It's not about superior.
I feel like you're getting juices and stuff out when you use a processor.
Oh, well, I just dump all of it in with the juice. To me, it's just like, well, everything that would have made it in there now is in there, but there's not one single.
But it's instead of it retaining it within itself, it's like.
I don't know if there is a molecular reason or not, but this is where chefs, it's a skill, right? Like it's more than just they're throwing ingredients. Knife work is a skill that they've perfected.
Yeah, well, you call it knife work, so yeah.
That's what it is. So, they're not going to do that because it's part of the whole thing.
What kind of noodles did you use?
I used pappardelle.
Is that the kind I use? I like the ones that are.
No, you like angel hair.
Right, and I like the ones that are in a package in the refrigerated section.
Like, what's it called? It has a brand.
I don't even know it at all.
Those are incredible noodles.
But you didn't use those.
No, I used a thicker
They taste like
noodle.
fresh pasta.
Yeah, they're really good.
And yours started out hard?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
Started as a hard
And
noodle.
you limped them up?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It was good. But I did eat it at
11 at night.
Yeah.
Was it that late? Well,
it was 10:45.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right before night.
I know. It's a big
Did you have
bunch
a huge poop this morning when you woke
I
up?
know.
That's my favorite thing about my spaghetti is I always am. I'm guaranteed
A nice.
a very satisfying
I know. I thought I
evacuation
would.
the next day.
I didn't.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So yeah. All right. Well, I think that's that.
We covered it all. We covered it all.
Sure
I'm
did.
mad you didn't bring me any.
I want it to
I'm
be
getting less and
perfect.
less optimistic that I will ever try anything because you just made meatballs that you didn't bring me, and then you made
I
bolognese.
know.
You brought like two of my favorite things, and
I
you didn't bring
know,
them.
but I'm scared.
Yeah, so my new expectation is I'm not ever gonna try unless I join one of these girls' nights, which I'm forbade to join. I'm never gonna try.
I maybe will still bring you the bolagnese.
Well, it'll only taste better today and
Right.
tomorrow and the next day. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All
All right. Love you.
Love you.